What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Early Edge. Love to see the energy in the chat. James Valdez says big pick energy. He's already doing the dance. We'll hold the phone on that. And John says, Sia 0-4 on his picks this week. Actually, I think it's 0-3. And he asks if I can pull off the sweep. John, with that energy, we don't need you in here on a day like this. So please exit stage wherever you want to go. Let's take a look at the recap screen before we bring in the stars of the show. I went 0-2. Listen, we lost both of those by one stroke. They were both very close, but they are losers nonetheless. But we go 4-4-1. Obviously, Mike McClure's play, Billy Horschel with the late withdrawal. That one didn't go through, so it's a push. It's a no play. 4-4 is not great. We got to do better than that. And on a day like this, we got to bring up the energy, bring up the record, and we do it with Big Pick Energy Friday. Oh, here we go. Where is everybody? Where is everybody? There they are. Okay. We got Danny Brasco. We got Amags. Mike's reading a book. And Buckets, wait a second. There was somebody in the chat that said, hey, we need a Chip Me Up today. Well, Chip's not here, but good news, everybody. If you want to raise the vibes, I feel like Buckets has something to tell us. Buckets, can you give us some sort of Chip Me Up today?
There we go. I am not going to pretend for a second like I am good enough to give a Chip Me Up. I am not Chip. I will never be Chip. As much as I want to be Chip, it's just not possible. So instead of a Chip Me Up, I have a little bit of good news that is exclusive to the Early Edge family. You all know Freya, my wonderful German Shepherd who tends to cap and be way better than me at everything that she does. Well, this afternoon, Freya will no longer be the only dog in the Buckets household. She is getting a little baby brother, an 8-week-old yellow lab. We're driving 6 hours to pick up today. That's my best version of the Chip Me Up, is just spreading some good dog news for everybody watching on this BPE Friday.
That is fantastic. So I trust we can see pictures and maybe the naming of the new family member sometime in the next couple of days?
In the next couple of days, we were going to do some kind of fun, Twitter or the Early Edge chat picks the names. But to be honest, I don't trust the Early Edge chat, and I especially don't trust Twitter to pick the name of this dog. But we might do something fun here the next couple of days.
Oh, that's fantastic. Let me ask you, before we get, not new Buckets, so before we get to picks, Amags, I want to ask you something. I could throw this at Mike McClure as well, but I'm going to ask you, you're wearing the Yankees hat. You took a lot of heat a couple of days ago. We got a trade deadline looming. Are you expecting an active trade deadline? Let's just talk about your Yankees real quick. Do you think they're going to be active like they normally are?
If they're not active, they likely, if not probably, lose Juan Soto. Maybe that's already happened. I think they have to make a really big, move or two here. Just even in terms of like showing him that they're willing to do stuff like that. I mean, you're not going to go sign him next year if you're not making any moves at this deadline. Plus, this is the only year you're guaranteed to have him, so you have to go make moves.
All right, makes sense. We'll see what the Yankees do. Hopefully, Amags, you're not taking as much heat in a week or two, although that was pretty fun the other day with Jeff Sternberg in the chat, getting all over you there. Danny Brasco, you're here today, and I know you cap so many different things, including cricket. You've added that to your repertoire, but you're here on a Friday. I assume that means we have some UFC 304 on Saturday to look forward to.
That is right, Sia. We're going across the pond in Manchester. 2 titles are on the line. All sorts of fantastic fights. Some bad blood in the fight that I'm going to talk about. It's a great lineup of fights, and they're actually fighting at 6 a.m. English time. So they're making they're accommodating the American fans. So we get to watch at the normal nighttime viewing slot that we would. And the fighters, who are a lot of them are British, English guys, will be staying up till 5 a.m. getting ready to throw hands. So interesting stuff.
All right. Absolutely love it. Okay. We want to get into the picks. Hey, Max, you're going to start us out with MLB, but Mike, I got to ask you, the book you were reading instead of dancing, what was it?
This should be The Black Swan. It's one I've read on the show a couple times before. I always read little snippets from it at a time. Never cover to cover though.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Well, let's go cover to cover on some baseball props, Amags. We've got, wow, speaking of Juan Soto, you've got a Juan Soto prop, and you've got a guy that you've been riding for quite some time very, very successfully. So give us the 2 player props on Friday.
Yes, yeah, I think we just kind of keep with the trend here of playing a bunch of these hitter props. If you follow me on Twitter, you know that we've been playing a bunch of hitter props every night. I haven't loved where a lot of the pitcher lines have fallen recently. So it is what it is. We'll play some hitters and have some fun. And you're right, I do have a pick on Juan Soto, but first we are going to keep riding with our guy, Brent Rooker. He's doing everything possible in his power to get traded off this A's team, make his case look better. And today he gets Carson Fulmer. And look, I just don't really think Fulmer is all that great of a pitcher. When you look at some of the expected stats, the underlying numbers, it kind of is showing me, if he has a pitch that's been good, well, maybe it's been getting lucky. And then the other pitches that haven't been good, you kind of have that play into it. The one that I looked at here was the sinker. He's a sinker heavy pitcher, against a guy like Rooker, who we mentioned the other day. Look, he didn't get it done for us that day, but he has been very good against this sinker. So I think you just kind of keep playing it at a pretty nice price here, minus 120. I thought that was pretty good value. You're on the weights, you're going to get some good pieces in his favor. So I like that one. And then, right, like you said, with the hat here, we got Juan Soto, and we're going over 2.5 hit run in RBI. We're getting plus money on it. And I like the look against Brian Bayo. Really just simply, I think I'm going to play to hit a home run as well. With 10 home runs in about 45 innings for Bayo against lefties this year. If somebody's going to do it for the Yankees, it's got to be Juan Soto. It's got to be Aaron Judge. I'll take the lefty and the plus money here. And like I said, I'll also throw on a little home run sprinkle.
All right, Rooker and Soto. I'll be looking inside the chat for the duration of the show. Maybe we have some sides or some other props that are being suggested in Amags. Maybe Mike as well. Mike, I know you're focused more on golf today, but we'll go to you two for some potential extra baseball plays. Speaking of extra plays, Bradley Jacobs is in here as usual. He says Leagues Cup, Seattle versus Minnesota, both teams to score minus 150. Buckets, it's a good segue into your pick. Not that it's covering that particular game, but I don't know if you have a comment on that pick, but I know you do have a soccer pick, so you're up next.
I have not looked at any of the Leagues Cups games. I'm assuming it's a good bet because it came from Bradley, but I have no comment on that one yet. I do want to say to people joining the chat late that are seeing the congrats buckets, no, I am not pregnant, and no, I am not engaged. Nothing to do with me. So just wanted to make sure that was very clear moving forward. I've only got one play for us here today, and I'm playing things a little bit safe here. There's a match happening in the Irish Premier Division at 2:45 this afternoon between Drogheda United taking on Waterford FC. And I'm going with Waterford, draw no bet at minus 105. If you want to take Waterford money line at plus 160, I think that is definitely worth a sprinkle because this Waterford side is way better, and we're getting a real.
Ooh, Buckets. Speaking of exiting stage left, did we lose him? Oh, we got him back. Buckets, I think we got you back. Keep going.
Oh, when'd you lose me? What part?
Good question. Just keep going.
All right, let's just restart. Drogheda United versus Waterford. Waterford draw no bet in the Irish Premier League at 2:45 this afternoon. Drogheda United are somehow the favorites, but it's really just because they have home field advantage, which is a big deal in Ireland, but is not a big deal for Drogheda. Drogheda has won one of their last 14 competitive matches. This is not a team you want to back any capacity. I think Waterford win this outright if you want to take the money line at plus 160 for a sprinkle, but we're playing that draw no bet absolutely at minus 105 for the better team playing against the worst home unit in all of Ireland. Sia.
All right. We got the take. We got 1.5 takes. We got extra takes there. Before we move on, some extra takes in the chat too. Moshe Stern says Reds first 5 money line plus 102, Royals first 5 money line minus 145, and Mariners versus White Sox first 5 under 4 at minus 130. Love how active the chat is. There's also somebody, Mike McClure, that says, and I saw a head nod from Amags. I want to get your response to if you like any of those. But Mike, Joe Neuenfeld said in the chat that you look as good in a polo as I do, and I feel like you're already better than me at everything else. Can you just give me the polo thing, maybe?
I'm thinking that was sarcasm. I definitely do not look as good as Sia in the polo, but you know what? We're rocking it anyway.
All right, fair enough. You're looking great as usual. Hey, Mags, any response to any of Moshe's plays? I see Reds first 5 money line at plus money. That doesn't look bad to me. We've been betting on the Royals this year. Anything that jumps out to you?
So I think just at minus 145 maybe is a little bit much, but I do side with the Royals there. I like that side. The Reds, I don't have too much of an opinion, I guess, on the side, but I do like Ellie De La Cruz. Just the lefties there in that Reds lineup today, I think could do some damage. And then the under, I have no problem with as well, actually. I know it's a 4, but I don't have an issue with it.
All right, fair enough. If you want to make any of those plays or any of the plays you're about to hear, go to BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10, and you'll receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. All right, we got to get to some golf. We got to get to some UFC. We got to get to some of your picks in the chat, and we'll do it right after this message from our partners.
Football action continues. Are you ready for this? Ready to take chances? As the gridiron is taken over by the Great White North. It's time to storm the fortress. It's time to fight on the battlefield. Catch the Canadian Football League on CBS Sports Network.
We're back on the Early Edge presented by BetMGM, and Big Cheesy reminds us we're Alvin Kamara days away from NFL kickoff. And I do want to mention, because we're going to have some golf picks coming up, me and Patrick McDonald will be on CBS Sports Network today at 2 o'clock. We're going to be covering the 3M Open, live bets, cut sweat oriented stuff. It's going to be a pretty dynamic episode. So get in front of your TV or your iPad. Check us out on CBS Sports Network. Again, that's a first cut episode at 2 o'clock. I'll be joining Patrick McDonald for that. All right, Danny, you mentioned it. We get to watch UFC at maybe a better time for most. You've got a few picks for us for UFC 304.
That's right, Sia. And I'm going to go with the prelims here. If you want to catch me for my main card picks, I'll be on CBS HQ tonight at 7:15 p.m. Eastern time. But for now, I got some plus money action in the prelims. And I think some of these lines are a little bit off. Now, first of all, I don't even know if this fight is actually on the prelims or on the main card. It's a flyweight title eliminator, but there's been a lot of bad blood and beef. And because of that, and potentially some out-of-the-cage antics, I think it's been moved to the early prelims. The fight is Manel Kape versus Muhammad Mokaev, and it's a fantastic fight. I think the line is off, guys. It's moving against me. I don't care. I'm betting Manel Kape plus 142. Give me the Starboy to get a signature win and potentially a flyweight title shot after he beats Muhammad Mokaev this weekend. Now, these guys don't like each other. Mokaev, highly technical wrestler, chains it together, sticky grappler, tough to get off you, and he's really good with his submissions. However, Manel Kape, his talent level is unbelievable. He's been training with Said Nurmagomedov, Tagir Ulanbekov, all the Dagestanis. I think he'll have the grappling defense to deal with Mokaev and at least get him off him to make it a striking affair for long enough to land way more damage, have the big ooh-ah moments. He's got that flying knee that could thwart some of Mokaev's grappling entries. And I think Kape is just so talented. He's next up at flyweight, in my opinion. If he beats Mokaev with style points, you ain't never getting plus 142 again. So give me Manel Kape at this price tag for sure, and we'll see how the fight plays out. I may have a little showdown on my hands. We'll get to that at the end. Ooh. I got another plus money ticket for you. See, it's Jake Hadley, plus 180. We're getting a hometown underdog in England here. He did take this fight on short notice, but it's definitely the most beatable opponent he's gotten so far in the UFC. Hadley's only 2-3 with the promotion, but he's fought some tough competition. Guys like Cody Durden, who proved they're pretty tough. Charles Johnson, who's going to be a ranked bantamweight very soon. And in his 2 wins, he put his opponents away. So he did what he was supposed to do. I think the short notice is actually helpful for him here. He's normally fights at flyweight. This is at bantamweight. Hadley looks rough on the scales at flyweight, like straight up Skeletor. So I like him to potentially be more healthy at bantamweight. I think he's going to throw more volume on the feet. He's got a good grappling base, and his opponent's pretty hittable. I don't know why he's the plus 180 dog. The decision, fight to go the distance is minus 225. So odds makers strongly thinking that this is going the whole way. Hadley can take 2 rounds. I'm going to take him by decision too for a sprinkle at plus 370. And one more bet. Normally, I don't give over-under on rounds, but I love this one. Give me the over 2.5 in Preston Parsons versus Oban Elliott. These guys have the grappling pedigree to kind of match each other, and I think it's going to be a straight-up scramble fest, right? These guys are just going to be battling for 50-50 positions. A lot of really fun grappling exchanges between 2 hard-nosed guys with that relentlessness and grit and toughness. I think that carries them both all the way to the judges' scorecards. And Sia, if I think it's going to be a scramble fest, give me an over easy. How do you like that? I worked on that all night long. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, compared to how your deliveries normally are, I would say that was like a B- because you're just so good. I mean, David Tox says it in here. He says, Danny B is awesome. He said that right when you started. I don't think he was even referring to your picks, which are also awesome. You give a take like no one else. I mean, you are one of the elite at giving a take. So yeah, that finish, I mean, we got to workshop it. Call me, and we'll work on that together.
It was cheesy stuff. I thought of it, and I was like, I'm going to say that, but I immediately regret it.
Yeah. It was okay. Don't worry about it. We'll make up for that later. Great stuff from Danny Brasco as usual. Amags, you've put some stuff in the chat here. You said play both of these for the Reds game. Elliot De La Cruz over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs at -120, and Paredes over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs at +105. I like that. Good stuff from Amags. All right. And then a Big Cheesy says Mark Canha over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs at even money. And Stego says 2-team, no runs first inning, round robin, Athletics, Pirates, and Nationals. Oh, that's an interesting one. All right. Oh, go ahead. Excuse me, Danny Brasco. Go ahead.
My guy Gipper's Picks, who's always putting some good UFC information in the chat. He's actually against me, and he's someone that's always bold enough to challenge me. So, Harry, if you're ready to rock, I'm ready to take the bet. He's on Mokaev. I'm on Cop. Put your guns up. Play the music.
It's gonna be a showdown.
Wow. Love to see it. Good stuff from Harry, by the way. Good on the timing. All right, let's go to golf. Let's go right back to golf. I went 0-2 yesterday, lost both by a stroke. I'm going right back to one of the ones I took yesterday. I'm going back to Tony Finau. It's a little pricey, just like it was yesterday, -135. Interesting that this number didn't change at all, right? Because Sahith Theegala did beat Tony Finau, again, only by a stroke, but typically you'd see that number come down maybe to -130, maybe -125. I think the reason it's not coming down is Tony Finau was great. He was 4th tee to green yesterday. His ball striking was absolutely outstanding. Theegala was good, but he gained almost 2.5 strokes with the putter and with the around the green play. That's not how I want to see a guy get it done. Now, Theegala might have a good round. Don't get me wrong. His history here, like I said yesterday, not very good. So it wouldn't shock me if he goes the other way today. But from a talent standpoint, he's up there with Tony Finau. I just like how Tony Finau got it done yesterday. And I liked Tony Finau coming into this tournament more than I liked Sahith Theegala, namely because of Theegala's very, very bad history at the 3M Open. So I'm going right back to it. Hopefully we can bounce back from the Tony Finau loss yesterday with the Tony Finau win this afternoon. Round 2 ball, Tony Finau -135 over Sahith Theegala. If you have any picks that you want to suggest my way, you can tweet at me or put it in the chat. Mike McClure, we're sticking with the 3M Open. What's your play today?
Yes, so I'm going to be looking to back Akshay Bhatia. Unfortunately, the number has moved a ton on us in the last 30 minutes here. I played this -115. It is currently -150. I would not go beyond that price point, but it's certainly moving that way. We're betting his round score under 68.5, looking for a -3 or better. Something I certainly expect from him, probably going to need to see from him, frankly, to make the cut at this point. He had an extremely poor first round off the tee, which was very uncharacteristic of him, as he's been one of the better players off the tee, especially in this particular field, but really across all the PGA Tour, right? So he lost 3.4 strokes tee to green, or off the tee, which was 2.2 tee to green, gained 2.5 with the putter. Looking back, he has been gaining multiple strokes on the field over his last 7 tournaments. I expect the off the tee game to bounce right back here. If he had just an average off the tee day yesterday, not one where he was actually gaining, just an average off the tee day, he'd be sitting around that -5 range. Looking at the golfers on course now, the scoring conditions are pretty strong. So I like this. I thought the number should still be 67. I think he's going to shoot 4 under or better today. So I like it 68.5. Unfortunately, it is on the move right now. The 115 that I got is no longer available. If you go beyond -150, I would then pivot to the matchup. The matchup that is available is Akshay Bhatia against Tom Hoge. I prefer Bhatia over Hoge, but I do prefer to bet on Akshay's individual performance, as the scoring conditions are pretty strong here today. So looking for Akshay Bhatia under 68.5. And again, if you want to gamble on it, you can wait and wait till this matchup is live. These numbers typically stay up live during the front 9.
Yeah, this is an interesting setup, because looking at the scores coming into the show, Mike, there were so many. Like, this is one of those, like, it's mostly a birdie fest, although you can find trouble pretty much anywhere. It's mostly a birdie fest, and I'm seeing guys near the top of the board like Kevin Kisner. Like, he was -3 before we walked into this show at 10 o'clock. Through like 5 holes, like the score. And that's why I like your angle here in terms of taking the strokes, making it an individual bet with Akshay Bhatia, because there's certainly the potential for, really, if Kevin Kisner's going low, granted it was early for Kevin Kisner, but if he's going low, Certainly, Akshay Bhatia has the potential to go super low. Novak, who was leading, or at least was leading as of 20 minutes ago, was 3 under through his first handful of holes. So very big opportunities for good players to go low. Hey, Danny Brasco, I got to ask you something. There was a note that Gipper's Picks is 2-0 on his showdowns. Are you are you the least bit intimidated?
I'm not intimidated, but I am salty. It's like the proverb in fighting, like you get punched in the face, you want revenge, right? Like it doesn't hurt. You just want to get it back. So that's where I'm at right now. So Gipper's, I got to get you back on one, but credit where credit's due, man. He's a smart guy.
Buckets, I saw you kind of squint when he said proverb. Everything okay over there?
I've never heard the proverb that said go punch that guy in the face after he punched you, but I could be wrong on that.
The full proverb is you get punched in the face, you want revenge. You get punched in the body, you want to go home.
Oh, okay.
I mean, see, this is why we do the extra stuff. This is where the extra question comes in and enhances the show. Mike McClure, you had something.
Yes, just another baseball future. I'm looking, so we talked about the Texas Rangers to make the playoffs, plus 500s down to plus 260 now. I like the Atlanta Braves to miss the playoffs, plus 460. I think there's a decent value on that number. I think it should be around plus 300 currently. 13 games remaining with the Mets and the Phillies just in division there. No shot of winning the division. They are only playing for a wild card at this point. And I think they're going to be in a pretty tight battle in the NL. So I'm backing the Braves here to miss the playoffs, plus 460.
Let me ask you this, because a corollary to that bet would be, well, one of these long shot teams sneaks into a wild card spot. Do you have an idea of who that, maybe it's a long shot? Like I bet on the Arizona Diamondbacks, crazily enough, like, I don't know, 4 weeks ago to win the World Series because it was 65-1. Is there a team like that could sneak in and take the Brave spot?
I think that there's a scenario where the Padres and Diamondbacks could get both wild card spots here. There's a lot of different scenarios in play, but they're going to be competing with the Mets, Padres, Diamondbacks, really the Cardinals, Pirates, and even the Reds. I know the Reds are way back at this point, but this NL race is going to be extremely competitive. So seeing this Braves offense not be able to beat Severino yesterday, losing a Chris Sale start. I do not like where they're headed right now. So I think just the number is extremely appropriate here. It won't be around for long, especially if they do not win this series with the Mets.
Interesting. Amags, any of those teams that Mike mentioned sort of strike your fancy as a team that could sneak in or maintain a spot at decent odds?
Yeah, I actually really like the angle there with the Braves to miss the playoffs, especially at that price. I think Mike is pretty spot on. And it's funny, when you look at the standings, it's 7 teams between the Braves and the Reds. There's 7 of them there. Only 5.5 games separate, the top team from the bottom team. So just a little run over even the course of a week could have one of those teams like the Reds really jump up. So I actually almost think if you see some of these teams year over year, they make moves. The Cardinals do tend to try to make some moves. That could be one they're mixed in there. And then the Padres, you get Xander Bogaerts back. I think there's maybe some good things happening there. So I would say those 2 right there.
Final thing before we get to the recap screen, because Paul Skeens has been very popular on this show and a lot of different shows. Mark Buckholz asks, any thoughts? Mike McClure, I'll go to you. Any thoughts on the Pirates at plus 500 to make the playoffs?
I certainly think that he can play into it. I love Taylor pointing out we did move the line 30 cents on the FanDuel during this talking about it. It went from 460 to 430. So shout out to everyone out there actually piling on. Love that. As far as Skeens, I think that I wish the guy could pitch every 3 days. If he could, they would be a playoff team for sure. That division is tough. It's tough. You've got the Reds, who I think they're so far back, but they're going to win games. I think the Cardinals, as we just mentioned, are going to win games as well. So I'm going to be on the side of the Pirates not getting in. I know they're only a 1.5 back. I think it's tough, but it just speaks to the point of why we like the value on the Braves. There are so many teams log jammed right there, and the Braves are headed the wrong direction. Everyone else is kind of still fighting and has a little life. So if you want to back it, I wasn't like the obvious play like Texas, in my opinion. But the NL is just kind of a log jam right now.
Taylor DeHart, I do love the comment. If people are new to the Mike McClure experience and you're like, yeah, he probably he doesn't move lines. People don't move lines that fast. You just haven't been introduced to Mike McClure. Go follow him and see what Mike McClure's done over the last decade when it comes to betting and moving lines, and you'll know that is probably not a coincidence. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the recap screen before we get out of here. We got a lot to show you. We got golf. We got MLB. We've got soccer. Tony Finau, -135 over Sahith Theegala. That is this afternoon, going right back to it. Amags, Brent Rooker, over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs at -120. Juan Soto, over 2.5 hits, runs, RBIs at +115. Buckets. We've got Waterford, Dave Matthews Band. Of course, that's draw no bet, -105. Danny Brasco, UFC 304. Cop, +142, Hadley +180, and Parsons Elliott over 2.5 rounds at -130. We got a showdown with Gipper's picks there as well. And Mike McClure this afternoon, Akshay Bhatia, round 2 under 68.5 at -115. Well, I think Liddy said it best. She said, great show, everybody, and have a good weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a great weekend. Let's have a great Friday. Let's cash some tickets. Let's enjoy some golf, some UFC, some MLB, some soccer, and everything. We got NFL around the corner, too. This has been The Early Edge. On behalf of Mike McClure, Buckets, Danny Brasco, and, of course, Amags and Harry on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. This is The Early Edge. I'm the Counselor of Cash. We rest our case.